Hi folks, I'm Nick and I'm going to talk to you now about what is permaculture and what is permaculture aid. So permaculture is popularly thought of as permanent agriculture, the study of how to plant and design gardens and farms and backyards in accordance with natural principles, the laws of nature. How do we stimulate nature and enhance nature, work with nature rather than against nature? So, think about traditional agriculture that we have right now. This is not traditional agriculture. This is mechanized, difficult agriculture. Growing grains and rice is difficult. Food forestry is a lot easier. So it's a way of thinking about food systems differently. But permaculture is a lot more than just permanent agriculture. It is the best design framework for discussing permanent culture. What does a post-scarcity world look like? How should we design a world in the fifth industrial revolution? So we'd start in the core principles of permaculture design and permaculture aid: care for the earth, care for people, and fair share. Simple. There are 12 design principles that I'll run through. First is observe and then interact. So learn, apply a stimulus, step back, observe again. So you've got a tree. You prune the tree, you notice that it's overgrown. You prune the tree, you apply stimulus, you step back and observe. You apply fertilizer to a farm, you step back and observe. In an organization, you provide training, you step back and observe. So you observe and then interact. You catch and store energy, harness and store energy, whether it's people energy, solar energy, wind energy, financial energy. Obtain a yield. Ensure that all activities obtain as many yields as possible. In a farm system, it's agricultural yields, human yields, financial yields, educational yields. Think about all the different ROIs that you can look at in terms of how a project works. Apply self-regulation and accept feedback. So natural systems cannot explode. They are self-regulating and self-limiting. Nature achieves balance. So we should be trying to find that balance in ourselves. Self-regulate, and we should regulate the systems, the organizations that we create, and we should accept feedback. The best way to do that is through transparency and through open sourcing. Be as public as possible with your data and information in your activities, and the feedback and the regulation from the external world, whether from advisors, from markets, from customers, will help you adapt and improve. Use and value renewable resources. So people, energy, natural systems, don't waste. So the next principle, produce no waste. Things are only wasted when you waste them. So, in the disaster, there's a ton of broken material and debris. A lot of that can be recovered and repurposed. Wood can be shredded into wood chips for mulch and compost. So produce no waste. Design from patterns to details. A good way to look at this in the business world is the ready, fire, aim philosophy. So get ready, start, and then aim as you go. Integrate rather than segregate. Avoid silos, avoid isolation in any way. Integrate. Unfortunately, science and capitalism and the way that the world works today and academia is very much siloed. That's not how nature works. All of its systems interact in very huge complexity. And the cool thing now is technology is beginning to allow us to model that and understand that complexity in a way that we couldn't in the past. Next principle is use small and slow solutions. So prefer small-scale incremental approaches over large disruptive ones, which is one of the reasons why I'm pitching Project Union for this small response. I'm not trying to suggest that we suddenly change every system in the Caribbean, every system in the world. No, I'm saying that this is a great opportunity for a small scale disaster to be an opportunity where we can have risk at a small scale and innovate at a large scale. Use and value diversity. This is so important. In a forest, there are so many plants, animals, birds, worms, insects, bacteriums, nematodes, mycelial networks, all working together. In fact, one of the great ways I like to think about farming is you farm the soil and the plants take care of the rest. So you feed the soil, you take care of the natural systems in the soil, and then the plants will naturally be more resilient and more thriving. That's the same in human systems. We got to integrate the wealthy and the base in a better way in the north and the south, which is one of the reasons why in the program that I've designed for 300 people, I've tried to imagine such a diverse group of people. 50 from each of the affected countries, 100 from the rest of the Caribbean, 50 from the global south, 50 from the global north, and bringing together people with information management, architecture, engineering, technology and software development, humanitarian backgrounds, public service, marketing, content creation, all into one place. And you use the edges and value the marginal. The world does not value some of the things that are out there, especially the versatility of Caribbean people and people in developing countries. Man, people at the base of the socioeconomic pyramid, if you spent any time in countries like the Philippines or here in Trinidad, you got people out there who have no jobs, no certifications, no education. But they can build houses, they can farm, they can fish, they can preach, they can do so much, they can cook, but they're locked out of economic opportunities because they don't have certifications, they don't have money, they don't have knowledge. There are people who could take you on amazing nature hikes here in Trinidad, but they don't know how to find tourism customers. They don't know how to create a Facebook page. They don't know how to put themselves on Google Maps, to create a WhatsApp business account so that they can market themselves. So let's use the edges and value the marginal. One of the most productive systems, where systems are most productive, is at the edges. So think at a coastline, where of an ocean, where in the seas you got the most productivity, on the shore you've got the most productivity. And the final principle of which is creatively use and respond to change. So be creative and respond. Embrace changes as an opportunity for positive development. So those are the 12 principles. And how does that look? Well, we could talk about this all day, but my wife says that I talk too much. So it's holistic thinking, and let's keep going with some more keywords. Regenerative agriculture, so we talk about soil health, biodiversity, water management, and water harvesting. We talk about agroforestry and syntropic agriculture. We think about contour farming. We think about holistic systems thinking, about interconnectedness, feedback loops, and resilience. We can think about crowdsourcing and community engagement, collective intelligence, resource mobilization. We can think about indigenous wisdom. We can talk about open sourcing, knowledge sharing, collaboration, accessibility. How can we make all of this information as public and transparent as possible? How can we do social engineering, social permaculture, community building, culture building, conflict resolution, empowerment, and education? How can we integrate technology into all of this? How can we do base technologies like appropriate technology, water harvesting, hand pumps, liters of light in roofs, little things like that, to digital tools and AI and remote sensing and GIS and autonomous drones and 3D printing, whether small scale 3D printing or 3D printing of houses and boats. And how can we think about different economic models? How can we think about circular economies, local economies, social enterprises? How can we begin to experiment and usher in the fifth industrial revolution? A more human-centered approach to the world, a post-scarcity world. Universal basic income is a very expensive and very complicated to implement in a place like the United States or Europe. We have a unique opportunity in the Caribbean to experiment at an island level scale and at nation level scales in microeconomies to see how these ideas will actually play out. And if we crowdsource everything and we make it all transparent, then we all as a globe, as a human race, we all get to learn from the mistakes that we make along the journey. I'm willing to share myself. Part of being I'm willing to share myself with you. I'm willing to have you guys criticize me, and I'm willing to put myself in the eye. I'm willing to self-regulate and apply your feedback. And I hope that everyone that we train and everyone who participates in this program will too. So that's Permaculture Aid. I'd like to give a big shout out to Steve Cran from Green Warrior Permaculture. He's, I think, based in Hong Kong. He created a program many years ago. It was funded by IOM, the UN's migration agency, who I used to work for. And it showed that this can be done. Now let's take those ideas that he worked with 15, 20 years ago and has been working with ever since. Let's fund that, let's scale it, and let's go big. So Permaculture Aid, in a sentence, is permanent aid, so that we never have to have international humanitarians come in to assist this island chain again. Or when they do come in, they come in for a couple of weeks, a little bit of funding, and then they leave so that the local people can self-recover. Because that's the goal, is that people are resilient and can self-recover. So let's help them. Let's build the capacity. Thank you.